Art isn't just about beauty, it's about making the invisible visible. My name is Noah Reyes-Chin, and this is the story of how my trash obsession sparked a global environmental movement. But to understand how we got here, we need to start in a garage in Los Angeles, where a young artist saw beauty in what others threw away. Growing up in a family of academics, I was always the outsider. My mother was an environmental policy professor at UCLA, my father a renowned economist, and my older sister Elena was making waves in climate science research. Then there was me, spending weekends dumpster diving for materials to create massive installations about consumption and waste. Me Joe, my mother would sigh, watching me sort through my latest haul of discarded plastics and electronics. You could be working on environmental policy instead of playing with garbage. What they didn't understand was that I wasn't just making art, I was making statements. Every installation was a data visualization, every sculpture a commentary on what would later become the foundation of the waste art movement. The tension peaked during a family dinner party, while everyone discussed climate change policies and economic solutions. I was sketching ideas for a chandelier made from ocean plastic. Art won't save the environment, my father declared. You're wasting your talent on trash. I looked up from my sketch and replied, Dad, sometimes people need to see the truth, not just read about it in reports. At CalArts, I finally found my artistic community. My professors saw something unique in my approach to environmental art, while others created traditional pieces about nature. I was transforming waste itself into powerful statements about human impact on the planet. The breakthrough came during my final year. I had been creating increasingly large installations, but I realized we were thinking about environmental art too conventionally. We weren't just dealing with aesthetics, we were dealing with the potential to change human behavior through visceral experience. Late one night, surrounded by sorted plastic waste in my studio, I had my epiphany. Traditional environmental education relied on facts and figures, but what if we could make people feel the reality of our waste crisis? I developed a revolutionary approach that combined data visualization with immersive art installations. My pieces, which I called datascapes, transformed environmental statistics into physical experiences that people could walk through and interact with. My thesis exhibition caught the attention of Maria Santos, a curator at the Museum of Contemporary Art. She offered me a chance to create a major installation about plastic pollution. My family's reaction was predictable. Gallery installation? My sister scoffed. I just published a groundbreaking paper on climate modeling. But I had stopped seeking their approval. Within months, I had transformed the museum's main hall into an immersive experience built entirely from ocean waste, my heart racing with possibility. The initial response exceeded everyone's expectations. The installation, titled 1 Week's Worth, used exactly 1 week's worth of plastic waste from Los Angeles to create a tsunami-like wave that visitors had to walk under. But what really set it apart was the integration of real-time data. The wave would grow and shift based on current consumption patterns in the city. Maria was ecstatic. Noah, this isn't just art, it's a wake-up call. Word spread quickly in both the art and environmental communities. Museums began requesting exhibitions, and environmental organizations wanted to collaborate. But it wasn't until the global waste crisis of 2024 that our work caught international attention. The crisis had overwhelmed waste management systems worldwide, leading to devastating environmental impacts. While politicians debated solutions, my traveling exhibition Mountains of Tomorrow, which recreated famous mountains using each host city's monthly waste, was changing public perception and behavior. UNESCO took notice. Suddenly, I was being invited to speak at international conferences, consulted by environmental agencies, and featured in global media. My installations were being commissioned for major cities worldwide, and similar projects were starting in developing nations. Yet my family remained skeptical. Art installations won't change policy, my mother said during one of our rare family gatherings. You could be writing environmental legislation by now. I didn't bother arguing. The results spoke for themselves. By 2025, cities that hosted my installations showed significant increases in recycling rates and decreases in single-use plastic consumption. The data was clear. Experiencing the reality of waste through art was changing behavior more effectively than traditional advocacy. Which brings us to today, standing at this UN climate summit, facing a room full of world leaders, environmentalists, and yes, my family, finally here to witness what their garbage collector had become. My aunt's dismissive comment still hung in the air, Noah's still collecting garbage. But as I looked out at the sea of faces, at the screens showing images of my installations worldwide, I felt only certainty. The cameras flashed as I began to speak. 20 years ago, a young artist believed that transforming trash into art could change how we see our impact on the planet. Today, I'm here to tell you that he was right. Environmental statistics aren't just numbers, they're stories waiting to be told, and we now have the power to tell them in ways that move people to action. I clicked to the first slide, showing the impact of my installations on public behavior. When traditional environmental education couldn't motivate change, we had to think differently. We stopped preaching about waste and started making people experience it. For the next hour, I explained the philosophy behind my work, the combination of data and emotion, the way we transformed statistics into physical experiences, how we made environmental impact tangible and personal, but more importantly, I shared our vision. We can change human behavior, I declared, not through lectures or reports, but by making people feel the weight of their choices. The solution wasn't in more facts and figures, it was in making the abstract concrete, the invisible visible. The presentation ended with footage of my latest installation, Inheritance, a series of children's bedrooms filled entirely with the amount of waste each child would be responsible for in their lifetime. The impact was profound. Later, at the reception, my family approached. My mother's eyes were wet with tears. "Noah," she said softly, "we were wrong, so wrong." My father, ever the economist, had questions about the behavioral impact data. Even Elena, the climate scientist, was particularly interested in collaborating on data visualization projects. "You really did change environmental policy," she admitted, hugging me tightly, with trash, of all things. But the most meaningful moment came when a young artist approached me, carrying a portfolio of sketches. "Mr. Reyesjan," she said earnestly, "I want to follow your path. Everyone says art can't change policy, but..." I smiled, remembering my own journey. "Let me tell you a secret," I said. "Every revolution begins with someone seeing things differently. Never let anyone tell you your medium isn't powerful enough or your approach isn't serious enough." That evening, I stood on my hotel balcony, watching the city lights. My phone was buzzing with messages, congratulations, collaboration requests, interview invitations, but my thoughts were in that long-ago garage, where a young artist believed in the power of transforming trash into truth. The next morning, I was back at our latest installation site, because while awards and recognition are nice, the real reward is watching awareness grow. Every changed mind, every reduced consumption pattern, every policy shift, these are the true measures of success. My team has grown now. Artists from around the world come to learn our methods, each bringing their own interpretations and innovations. We've expanded beyond waste, creating installations about climate change, biodiversity loss, and environmental justice. The work isn't always easy. We face challenges from skeptics, funding issues, and the sheer scale of environmental problems. But every time I see data showing behavior change in communities where our installations appear, I know we're on the right path. Last week, I received a package from my parents. Inside was my first sketchbook, filled with drawings of waste-based sculptures. They'd kept it all these years. Tucked inside was a note. "Dear Noah, we kept this to remind us of how wrong we were. Your garbage collection wasn't just art, it was activism. It was innovation. It was a new way of making people care about our planet. We're sorry we didn't see it sooner. You didn't just create art, you showed us a new way of changing minds. Love, Mom and Dad." I keep that sketchbook in our studio now, alongside our latest installation designs and impact data. It reminds me that great achievements often grow from rejected ideas, that change can come through unexpected channels, and that sometimes, the most powerful statements are made with the things people throw away. As I write this, I'm preparing for another installation. My hands will get dirty, my mind will race with new ideas, and somewhere, another person will see environmental truth in a new way. My aunt might still think I'm collecting garbage, but I know better. I'm changing consciousness, one installation at a time. And to that young artist in his garage, believing in the power of trash to tell truth, you were right all along. Keep collecting, keep creating, keep believing. The world needs your kind of vision. Today, when people ask me what I do, I don't say I'm an artist or an environmentalist or even an activist. I tell them I'm a truth translator. Because that's what my work is really about, taking cold statistics and turning them into emotional experiences that change how people see their relationship with the planet. Environmental awareness is growing, faster than anyone thought possible. Our installations have been featured in over 100 cities worldwide. The United Nations has incorporated art-based education into their environmental programs. And every day, more people are beginning to understand what that young artist in Los Angeles knew all along, that sometimes, the most powerful way to change policy is to change hearts first. My family now jokes that they should have helped me dumpster dive years ago. But this was never about creating traditional art. It was about proving that unconventional approaches, when driven by purpose, can transform how society addresses its biggest challenges. As I prepare for my next installation at the World Economic Forum, I think about all the other creative activists out there, the ones being told their methods are too unconventional, their approach too artistic. To them, I say, hold on to your vision. Nurture it like a precious material. Because you never know which unique perspective might grow into a solution that changes the world. The museums are filled with environmental truth, and somewhere in Los Angeles, in another garage studio, new visions are taking shape. My nephew has started creating his own waste-based sculptures, much to everyone's amusement. But this time, no one's calling it garbage. After all, they know better now. Sometimes, the biggest changes start with the things we throw away. And as for me? I'm still collecting trash. And I wouldn't have it any other way. 10 years have passed since that climate summit. The waste art movement has exceeded our wildest expectations. Over 200 major cities have hosted our installations, and environmental behavior metrics show lasting changes in communities where our work appears. Public engagement with environmental issues has transformed, and policymakers report more public support for environmental legislation than ever before. My old garage in Los Angeles has been preserved as an innovation center, where artists come to learn about environmental art and develop their own approaches to activism through creativity. My parents lead tours there now, proudly explaining how their son's garbage collection revolutionized environmental education. The young artist who approached me at the summit? She's now one of our most influential collaborators, creating powerful installations about environmental justice in underserved communities. When I see her working with young activists, that same look of determination in her eyes that I had at her age, I know our legacy is in good hands. Last month, I received the highest honor of my career, not another art award or UNESCO recognition, but a letter from a small coastal community. It contained a piece of weathered plastic and these words: Mr. Reyes-chan, you helped us see what we had been blind to, that our waste tells the story of our relationship with Earth. This was the last piece of plastic we collected from our beach cleanup, inspired by your installation. Keep it, and remember that your work has created waves of change across the world. That piece of plastic now sits in a special place in our studio, alongside my first sketchbook. It reminds me that every great achievement starts with a simple belief, that art can make the invisible visible and the ignored impossible to overlook. To anyone reading this who's being told their methods are too unconventional, their medium too humble, or their vision too radical, remember my story. Remember that change needs all kinds of voices, all kinds of visions, all kinds of truth-telling. And sometimes, just sometimes, collecting garbage can change the world.